There's a very, very big misunderstanding in our generation that for some strange reason, even though it's the foundation of our religion, it's the foundation of the Torah to know what I'm about to tell you, no one teaches it. As a matter of fact, the opposite. They teach the opposite. And by no one, I don't mean the rabbis that I always mention, like Rabbi Mizrahi or Rabbi Alon Nava, that teach the truth, and a few other righteous rabbis in the world that teach the truth. By no one I mean the vast majority. Why? That don't teach the truth. There's a teaching out there which has a foundation, but it's wrong. That if someone doesn't know, if they don't know what it is to sin on Shabbat, what it is to violate Shabbat, what it is to waste seed, what it is to not eat kosher, they don't know. They don't know that it's a big deal. But you know. You know. You figure, listen, if he's making a sin without knowing, then it's considered shogeg, meaning it's considered accidental. It's not intentional sin. So it's a lesser punishment. It's a punishment. 100% punishment. But it's a lesser punishment. Now what happens is, sometimes you have rabbis out there, or people that call themselves rabbis, but according to the Torah they're considered heretics, where they say, listen, I know this guy. He drives every Shabbat, he goes to casinos, he's married to a non-Jew, he's this, he's that. If I tell him about Shabbat, he's not going to do it. So what's the point of telling him? At least when he's making the sin, it's accidental, it's shogeg. It's shogeg.
And he donates a lot of money.
And he donates a lot of money to the Beit Knesset. His name is on the Beit Knesset. But the point here is, if I tell him, and he knows, and he still sins, then it's considered intentional. It's called mezid.
What happened to a rabbi?
It's like, we'll get there.
What about the rabbis who tell you it's okay that he drove because he would have went to the beach if not drive to shul?
Same answer, same question, same answer. So the rabbi is thinking, or even the regular Jew, the friend, his brother is driving on Shabbat, or his friend, his roommate is driving on Shabbat, he doesn't tell him. He says, nah, even if I tell him, he's not going to do it. He's still going to violate. So I might as well not tell him, because if I don't tell him, at least maybe it counts in Shamayim that it's accidental. But if I tell him, then it's intentional. It's a bigger punishment. Wrong. Wrong. Now, there is a concept called tinok shenishba, which means that someone who doesn't know that they're Jewish. They're born into a family, like a lot of people, unfortunately, during the Holocaust. A lot of the Jewish parents gave their babies so they don't get killed by these Reshaim, the Nazis. They gave their babies away to Goyim. And they raised them as non-Jews. So some of these people grew up and didn't even know they were Jewish. This happened. Or perhaps in Russia, in Ukraine, you weren't allowed to practice religion. So a lot of the new generations, they don't even know what Judaism is. They heard what Jewish is, but they don't know what it actually means. That's considered tinok shenishba. Like a baby that's lost. That's different. That is considered accidental. But someone that lives in America, where there's 6 million Jews, a bunch of which keep something, most don't, but everyone knows what Judaism is. You've seen black and whites, you've seen the Hasidic guys, you know what Shabbat is, you've heard what Shabbat is, you've heard there is something called a Shabbat. Someone lives in Israel, every 2 seconds you see someone with a black hat, black and white, everyone knows people know what Judaism is. They may not know the real laws, but they know what it is. They're not considered tinok shenishba, they're considered 100% Jewish, and they are obligated to learn. So now, by someone saying, listen, if I don't tell him, it's accidental, but if I tell him and he still violates it, then it's considered intentional. This is 100% wrong. Why? Proof. We always need proof in our generation. Baruch Hashem, we have a proof, not only from the oral Torah, but the foundation of oral Torah. What is it? Before the Gemara, what came? Mishnah. Chazaku Baruch. This is Mishnah, Pirkei Avot. Ethics of our fathers. Mishnah Pirkei Avot, chapter 4, Mishnah 16. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Heve Za'ir beTalmud, Shishgat, Talmud Ola Zadon. Translation, Rabbi Yehuda said, be meticulous in study, for a careless misinterpretation is considered tantamount to willful transgression. Interpretation: if someone sins that are accidental, they light a light on Shabbat, they smoke a cigarette on Shabbat, they eat non-kosher, it's accidental, they don't know. But if they don't know because they didn't study and they refuse to study, then it turns into intentional sin anyway. Whether you tell him or not, it's still going to be intentional. Why? Because he only doesn't know because he refuses to study. Not because you didn't tell him. He doesn't know because he refuses to study Torah. He refuses to learn what it is. So the person that's thinking this, and I'd rather not tell him or tell him, you're not doing him any favors. His sins are still going to be considered intentional. It's still considered mezid. Why? Because it's coming because of lack of study, lack of learning what Torah is. There's no such thing as just a free ticket. If I don't know, everything is accidental. It's complete nonsense.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.